So it's looking like the UFC have missed out on another big time signing. Um, MVP is apparently signing with the PFL. I don't think it's official or anything, but they did have a little Titantron type thing that said MVP versus Cedric Doumbé, fight in the works or fight in the making. So can't imagine they wouldn't do that if there isn't some sort of deal. So it looks like the UFC have missed out on MVP here. But in my opinion, I'm not going to lie, I've seen a lot of people saying the UFC have fumbled, oh, the UFC have fumbled. But have they really fumbled? Like, don't get me wrong, MVP would be a cool signing and everything like that. It'd be cool to see him in the UFC. Like Michael Venom Page is a very entertaining finisher, but it's only really when he fights lesser competition. Like, when he's fighting, cans. Let's just say cans. Obviously, he's got some wins over some legit competition as well as just cans, but a lot of his like big time finishes are against like less than stellar competition. I don't know if he would be able to replicate that in the UFC. Like, I just don't see it. Like, I think Kevin Holland would have beat him if that fight was actually going to go ahead. It seemed like it was in the works, but it looks like Michael Venom Page isn't even with the UFC, so that's not going to be happening. But I think Kevin Holland would have won that. Like, I really do. Like, Michael Venom Page is what, like 37 years old? Like, he's actually a lot older. 36. He's 36 years old. Like, he's going to be 37 pretty soon. Like, he's not. He what? Like, I see people saying they fumbled the bag and all this stuff, but let's be real. MVP wasn't going to come in here and be like a Michael Chandler. I really truly believe he wasn't going to have a Michael Chandler type run. And don't get me wrong, this isn't me just like being a fucking, a cocksucker for the UFC. Like, I generally just don't think it would have made a difference. I was up in arms when they didn't sign Cedric Doumbé, and I still, to this day, I'm pissed off they don't have Cedric Doumbé. I really wish the UFC did sign him because I think he is a fucking stellar fighter. Obviously, glory kickboxing background, very good fighter, entertaining personality. He talks trash, comes out to songs talking trash to Fernand Lopez. Like, the guy is just a fucking entertainer. He's a very entertaining fighter. Even I was pissed off about Roberto Soldic, but it looks like Soldic, uh, he didn't hold up to his hype in one so far. He's gone 0-1 in 1, one loss by brutal KO, one no contest. So obviously his one run hasn't gone that good. So maybe the UFC just got lucky there. But I still think Soldic is a very good fighter. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, he has a win over Drix Duplessis, so he is decent. He is like a decent fighter, but like, I'm not too fussed about this if I'm being honest. Like, Michael Venom Page, he's had some stinker fights too. Like, let's be real. The Paul Daly fight sucked. The Douglas Lima rematch sucked. Like, he's not really that exciting. Like, yeah, when he gets like cool finishes, he's pretty exciting. Like, he gets flashy finishes over lesser competition though. The UFC is the highest level competition. Normally, obviously there is outliners: CM Punk, Mike Jackson, uh, Martin Sano, all are in the welterweight division. So maybe there would have been fights that Michael Venom Page could have won, but I don't think they really did fumble the bag, and I will die on this hill. I don't think they did. Like, oh no, they don't have a 37-year-old welterweight who can't suffer takedown. Literally, his takedown defense is non-existent. Like, he has some of the worst takedown defense I've ever seen. He has worse takedown defense than Carlos Condit, and Carlos Condit takedown defense was a thing. That is a fucking term. Like, Condit takedown defense, like, known for having non-existent takedown defense. It made Carlos Condit look like fucking Robert Whitaker on the takedown defense against Yoel Romero. Like, literally, Michael Venom Page gets taken down so easily. He would have got mauled by like any competent grappler, even some strikers probably. Like, he really did get babied by Bellator, and I would die on that hill. Obviously, it would be cool if he was in the UFC. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's that big of a difference. I don't think he was going to be like a massive star. I don't think he was even going to win many fights. I feel like you would really have to have babied him. Like, I think most of the top 15 outside of Michael Chiesa would have, he probably, that's like the only person I think he could probably beat, and that's just because Chiesa is like not that good. Maybe Magny as well. Maybe he could chin Magny. That wouldn't surprise me either, but I don't think he would have beat many of these guys. I don't think he would have gone very far. Plus, the thing about him being in the UFC, him and Wonderboy don't even want to fight because they're friends. That's like the one fight people cared about. Like the one fight people were like, oh, we need to see MVP in there. We need to see him versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. That fight's not even on the fucking table because they're mates. So it's like, what did we miss out on? We missed out on Kevin Holland brutally KOing him. Like I could just see Kevin Holland catching him with some funky ass, unorthodox fucking wild punch that just knocks the fucking lights out for Michael Venom Page. Like I get it, he was a point karate champion. He's got some kickboxing fights, got some boxing matches, but like I don't know. I don't think this is a fumbling by any means. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll see him going in the PFL. Maybe he'll beat Cedric Doumbé. I highly doubt. I think Doumbé will fucking take his chin, like I generally do. I think Doumbé's gonna kill him if they fight. There is just a level of striker. Like Michael Venom Page is a good striker, but he's like a point karate striker. Like that is his discipline. Obviously, he's looked good in MMA. He's got some really cool KOs, but like Cedric Doumbé is just on a different fucking level. Especially because I don't think Michael Venom Page is gonna go offensively wrestle in that fight. I'd be very surprised, but Cedric Doumbé's got very good takedown defense anyway. I think Cedric Doumbé would really fucking badly hurt Michael Venom Page, especially Michael Venom Page is like what, like 5 or 6 years older. He's gonna be nearing out of his prime. Cedric Doumbé's coming into his prime. I wouldn't like that fight for Michael Venom Page if I'm being honest, but it'll be a cool fight. I'd love to see it. I really would. I think it would be cool. I feel like Cedric Doumbé versus Michael Venom Page is probably better than any fight the UFC could really give him. If we're being honest, maybe Jack Della Maddalena versus Michael Venom Page could be cool. Maybe Ian Gary versus Michael Venom Page. I'd like that. That would have been a cool fight. But like outside of that, it's not really anything too crazy. Maybe Luke versus Michael Venom Page would be cool. Jeff Neal versus Michael Venom Page. Like there is a few cool fights. Don't get me wrong, but I think Cedric Doumbé is like a better fight than all of them. Like if you ask me any of them fights, I think Cedric Doumbé versus Michael Venom Page gets me more excited because I don't think Doumbé is going to have like a boring fight with him either. Like Doumbé can be a very aggressive striker. He's not just a counter striker. Like he can actually go aggressively, which will, they'll bring out the best in Michael Venom Page because he can just have boring fights when he versus other strikers. So that wouldn't surprise me if that was to happen. If Michael Venom Page was to go against like a Kevin Holland, uh, or a Jeff Neal. Maybe Jeff Neal would be a bit more exciting actually, because Jeff Neal he can bang it with anyone. But Wonder Boy definitely that would be a chess match. I feel like it wouldn't be the crazy fight people would expect it to be. Like I don't know. I feel like a lot of people have just seen like cool highlights of Michael Venom Page, but they don't actually know anything about the guy's actual fights. Like they just see the cool highlights and like, damn, we need this guy in the UFC. But like if you go look at the records of the guys he's beating like some schmucks. Like he's notorious. Michael Venom Page is a notorious can crusher. He's one of the best or worst, however you want to describe it. Like, I mean, he does make them look like cans, but he's beaten so many cans. Let me just go through Michael Venom Page's record real quick, because I need to like he's got a great flashy record on paper, but like, it's I mean, he lost to Mike Perry and BKFC like last year, dude, by the way. Okay, so obviously his good wins are 28-5. Guti Yamauchi. He got a. I sort of thought Douglas Lima won the rematch, but it was more like a control versus damage, I guess. I don't know. It was a weird decision, I feel like, but he did technically beat Douglas Lima 32-9, but that was Lima on like a losing streak as well. He beat Derek Anderson. That was a cool one. He fucking broke his nose. 17-3. 8-0 Ross Houston, and then it was just cans from there. Obviously, Shinsho Anzai was in the UFC. I'm pretty sure he lost to Jake Matthews. Yeah, he did. So he was in the UFC, but like wasn't really that great. Wasn't a high level fight or anything. But still, UFC. He was in the UFC. He beat 13-4 Gianniano Melio, who is now Jesus Christ. He's now 14-9. So it just speaks to how good he is. He fought 3-1 Richard Kiley. 3-1. He's now 3-3. Like that is fucking horrible. Like that is generally like that is so bad. Like Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's just not a good look from him. He beat. I mean, he lost to Douglas Lima when he was 30-7. He lost to Paul. He beat Paul Daly in a stinker. But obviously Paul Daly a legend, but older than 19-4. David Rickles, not bad, but then you go down the record. 6-3 Charlie Ontiveros, who is a cool fighter. He's fun to watch, but like, it's not really that great, is he? Then there's like 4-3s, and then 10-4s, and like just the fact that he went to 3-1 Richard Kiley after losing to Douglas Lima is like, yeah, they're really like just letting this guy can crush. He went to a split decision with 25-13 Fernando Gonzalez. Like obviously, don't get me wrong, he's a cool fighter and everything, but he's not. I feel like people haven't actually watched or know the context behind Michael Venom Page to say this is like a true. They're like, this isn't, in my opinion, a true fumbling of the bag. Like I say, Dumbe, total fumble. Roberto Soldic, I'll still say that is somewhat of a fumble. I know he lost his last fight, but he's still an entertaining young fighter. Like, you could get some real fun fights out of him. And he does have a win over Drickus, so then at least you can say that, like, if Drickus does go on the middleweight champion, you have the guy who beat him as well. Like, if Drickus goes on to be champion, I mean, I know they're 1-1, but one will have the right to say, like, they could arguably have the best middleweight, even though, he did just get fucking brutally KO'd. So even then, they could say that that guy's the best, and etc., etc. You know what they would do. It's all about marketing at the end of the day, but like, Michael Venom Page wasn't going to join the UFC and become UFC champion. Like, I'm very, very fucking confident that that would not have been the case. I could be wrong. Maybe Michael Venom Page comes in, completely shocks up the system, goes in there and smokes Leon Edwards in a round, goes in there and fucking head kick KOs Shavkat Rakhmonov. Who knows? Maybe that happens, but I really have my doubts. It'd be funny to see a Bilal Muhammad versus Michael Venom Page. I feel like there'd be some funny trash talk there. They both wear some glasses. Oh, Jesus Christ, Bilal Muhammad would literally just like lay on top of him for 5 rounds. It would not be fun to watch. Like, Sean Brady, I think, would maul Michael Venom Page. Like, I just don't think stylistically he would have done very well in the UFC welterweight division, if I'm being honest. But who knows, man? Who fucking knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he could have actually gone in there, had a fucking hell of a career, but we might not never know. I mean, I don't think it's official he has signed to the PFL, but it is. I'd say they're in talks, and I'd say they're gotten very close. Like, you don't just have some random fucking guy who's not signed to your promotion come in and face off with one of your biggest stars. That just doesn't normally happen. Maybe it does. What do I fucking know? I just don't think I've ever seen that before. It'd be fucking funny though if they have him face off with Dumbe and then I got an announcement. We got the number 12 welterweight Kevin Holland facing the debutant Michael Venom Page. It's gonna be a badass fight. Like, I could see Dana White doing this, just throw everybody off guard, but I doubt it. I'd imagine he's with the PFL. Makes sense. I'm sure maybe he's a free agent. I was gonna say maybe he's still got some Bellator fights, but nah, he was like a genuine free agent. So I really don't know what's gonna happen there. It'll be interesting to see. The one thing I do hate though about the PFL, no elbows. I'd love to see some fucking elbows between Venom Page and Cedric Doumbé. I guess he is a karate fighter. You don't really see Venom Page throw too many elbows, I don't think. He's a very traditional karate type fighter. Obviously, KSI takes influence from him. They train at London Shoot Fighters. They both have that karate stance, the bouncing fucking stance. But yeah, like I say, man, I don't think this is the big fumbling people are acting like it is. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. If he goes in there and beats Cedric Doumbé, who else is our welterweight in the PFL? Goes in there and beats Sadal Sai, beats that Dagestani guy who beats Sadal Sai, beats that other Dagestani dude. Uh, Fuck, who else is there? I don't know. Beats a returning fucking Andre Fiallo. I don't fucking know. Beats some other guys, then maybe you can go in there and say it, but I don't know, man. I'm gonna I'm just gonna say it. If any Bellator champion or Bellator fighter is gonna have success in the UFC, it's gonna be Johnny Eblen. Johnny Eblen's the only guy. Maybe Vadim Nemkov because he does. He did have a competitive fight with Yuri Prohaska, but I mean he still did lose it. But they were like 10-minute rounds. But yeah, the only people I can really see having too much success in there, like having a lot of success, sorry, is Johnny Eblen, just because stylistically, there's not really many fighters like him in the middleweight division. Like that would be one of the fighters I would be excited about joining the UFC, but outside of that, like off the top of my head, I can't think who else there would be who would go in there and have that much success. Like Johnny Eblen's the only guy I could see maybe being a champion. I'm not saying he would be, but like that's the only championship level fighter I see from the Bellator pack. And who knows, maybe he would get smoked. Like it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. But he has looked good. He's pretty decent competition. But Patchy Mix as well. I reckon Patchy Mix could have some success in UFC. I'm not saying he'd be the UFC champion or anything, but I think he could have some good success against some of these guys. Like he's a big ass bantamweight. It's very similar style to Aljamain Sterling, but he does have power. Like that is the difference between him and Sterling. He actually has power. So that's like a unique thing about him. But yeah, what do I know, man? That's all I think about it. So anyway, that's all I'm gonna say. Let me know your thoughts on UFC potentially fumbling the bag. Do you agree to fumbling of the bag, or do you think it doesn't really matter long term? I mean, long term it obviously doesn't matter, but do you think maybe it's a loss short term, or what? Do you think they really missed the mark here not signing Michael Venom Page? If that is the case, who knows? This could be they could all make Michael Venom Page could be throwing everybody off, and then we just get an announcement: Michael Venom Page signed with the UFC. But I have my doubts that happens. But I think we'll find out eventually if that's true or not. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, make sure you give this video a like. Like I say, let me know your thoughts on the subject. If you're not already, click subscribe, put on the notifications, click that bell, and share this video to any single person you can. Thank you. Share it to some group chats or someone. But anyway, that's all I've got to say. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.